Yes.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order. David said he's gonna be a few minutes late getting here, so the vice chair, I'll call it to order and we'll move on until he gets here. I guess we need to call roll. Who all is on?
It's on the top of the.
Oh, there we go. David, of course, is not here. Myself, Barry Luffman.
Here.
Travis Caldwell. And Philip Headley, which he called me this afternoon. He should be here. He's on his way. We do have 3 here, so we'll move ahead with the quorum. I guess we'll stand and say a prayer, pledge of allegiance. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather together to do the business of our county. We ask that you lead, guide, and direct us as we make these decisions and move forward. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess we'll just move down the agenda list. First up is the Hampton Inn TIF agreement. And Brady, I guess I'll just let you.
Well, Ryan had sent this over and asked that the county commission approve this TIF agreement on the New Hampton Inn. We did the same TIF agreement on the Best Western. And the taxes will be paid back to the Industrial Development Board of the City of Lawrenceburg, which is separate from the county IDB board that we're already making TIF payments to. Ryan Durham had said that we needed to approve it here in the budget committee meeting, put it before the commission.
So I noticed in the resolution that they're having a public hearing meeting on March 23rd.
Yeah, Ryan had said that we needed, if y'all approved it, that it would be contingent on that.
Yeah.
It passing.
That's the night before our commission meeting. Do you know where that is gonna be held, or what time, or anything?
Ryan may have put it in the email. Hold on a second. I'll check.
I'd like to maybe attend that.
But now where the maximum amount is, it's like, it
This
says
is,
it shall not exceed, that ain't just for this particular one, that's all of them, or is this just this one?
this one is a separate TIF agreement.
So we can
And the
still
Best
pay for
Western
that,
is also.
so you can pay
It says
twice that.
not to exceed $1 million plus interest. So do we have I guess part of my question is how long is this one for? What time period? And I don't see that in there.
I don't know that that was disclosed.
Hey, David.
My apologies. You guys go ahead and get it cranked up.
Yeah, we were just talking about the TIF agreement for the Hampton Inn.
Okay.
So we had some questions about, it doesn't say anything in here about a time frame as far as how long we would be giving up the tax revenue from that. It says not to exceed $1 million plus interest, but
Let me get that info real quick here.
So I'm new to some of this, so if I have a stupid question, I apologize. So we're essentially relinquishing some of the property tax income.
so the way TIFs work, and this is the way, when we set it up, this was like 2012, maybe something like that. That area on the north side of town, including the industrial park, we designated that as a TIF zone. And what it was, so let's just take the Hampton Inn, for example. The developer needs assistance with putting in a sewer system or putting in whatever kind of infrastructure is needed. The TIF allows the city and or county to issue a bond or whatever, or borrow the money to give them, let's say in this case, $1 million to do that. And the agreement is that their property taxes then are used to pay that back over a period of time. And then after that, of course, we get all the property taxes. But it's like an incentive, it's a way to help them finance a capital project with us using their future tax money to do it.
And part of how that works is, and the advantage for us is that the hotel motel tax dollars start coming to us immediately when it's,
Right.
once it's built, right? So,
This is just their property tax. It doesn't
It-
count
We
as
still get that.
Okay.
yeah, so we get all that money. So once this
Sales
thing's
tax,
built,
anything like
that
we
money's
get.
coming in, and then we may give them a break on their property tax for a while, but we're getting that hotel motel tax dollars.
But then Egley wants all that hotel motel tax for him.
Yeah, he wants it, but we don't give it all to him.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's remember that.
Unfortunately, it goes.
a portion of it does have to go to him, but.
Does the city do the same kind of deal with them? I mean, how's that?
So this is this is through the city as well. The city IDB has to approve this, and so does the county IDB. All this, and so that's what you'll see here. The city's meeting, I think, is like the week.
The 23rd, it says.
Yeah, right there before our meeting, right? The day before or the day, yeah. So pending that approval, of course, in their meeting. It's called tax increment financing. It goes on in every municipality. And it's a way to get some of those things built that are bringing in tax revenue.
So I guess, number one, it says not to exceed $1 million, but I guess, do we know how much property tax it's gonna generate a year?
I don't think we have that amount yet.
Yeah.
So here's what English says, how long is the time frame on the tip? He says he ran it on both a 10 and a 15-year deal on what it would look like, both of those. It'll be up to the developer's bank as far as which term we land on, but the property taxes more than cover both at current interest rates. So again, I can have these guys come in and discuss it more in depth. They did the same deal for them on the hotel that's there now.
Right.
And I remember Tracy Gobble's numbers on that was how the county, it's really a wash. It's not even a wash. We actually come out in the good, the county does, by giving them this opportunity to utilize a TIF, because we end up bringing in all that hotel motel tax revenue.
It's not taken away from property tax that you're already planning on receiving.
Right, it's future.
Because, yeah,
And normally they do this in the front end.
That's what I was wondering. The motel's already there.
Yeah.
Before we
That's
actually,
what I'm
before they
saying.
start construction. That's what, I guess that's sort of what I'm confused about and why.
You said it went for like sewer lines and stuff? so-
Well, there's certain things they can use it for, but it's mainly for infrastructure and
See, that was
that
already
kind of
up through there. It was already
So-
put in right up through there in front of it.
I don't know, off the top of my head, I don't know what the limitations were, but I do remember it was for, I mean, they couldn't just use it to help build the building, in other words.
That's what
It
I
has
was
to
wondering.
be, it has to be used for things to get the building built. It could be roads, anything like that. But I think we used to know
Already
one of
went
the-
up through there, cause it, when it had picked up there at the FedEx building, they did that was all put in.
Right.
When that was in, so it was laying in there, all they had to do was tie to it.
I think we did this, TIF on the, Craig,
Spec building,
on Craig, yeah, the spec building up there, yeah.
That's what I was confused about, because the hotel's up. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I figured something we'd have done, had to agree to on the front.
Well, it's probably, I'm thinking about, Charlie was in that last meeting I was in last year about it. But, it was part of the original deal for them to come here was, hey, yeah, we'll do that TIF increment financing, but when the time comes, it's gotta be passed before, body. So their expectation was the same deal they got prior to would be the deal they got again. So, see if we can get Egley to, he might just chime in for us here.
I mean, I don't think I'm opposed to it, I'm just questioning it because maybe I didn't hear it on the other one, and I'm just trying to,
Make sure you know what.
educate myself on
We
what's
need to
happening.
understand what it
You know
is.
what I'm
Anytime I say $1 million, I kinda wanna know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, especially if we've already did it for the one that's existing, of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
but, just trying to
And
understand.
part of it, guys, it's like how we get in industry here, we're throwing a little bone, be able to help them out here and get them here and
And that's
create other
not-
tax revenue.
that's not $1 million a year.
I know, I understand
The
that.
line probably is
Yeah.
$1 million.
I would like to think it wouldn't even be nowhere close to that, because everything was there, apparently, unless road costs a little more than I thought it was, so.
And,
Well, so,
Yeah,
part of it was there too, because it was cut in there for a true value. Did they get it?
well, it
Did
could have
they get
been,
any money?
could have been the excavation work and all too, that they did a lot of fill and whatnot in there, I don't know what that cost, but.
You can pay all your local route building business.
Well, why don't we move on to the next agenda
Okay.
item, if that's okay, and then, we'll come back to that.
this one's a whole lot easier.
He just said he's available. Oh, let's get Egley on speakerphone. We'll use that big head, brain of his he's got, and see if he can explain to more better than I. Hey, good evening, Ryan. Sorry to bother you today. I know you're probably sunning yourself somewhere with a pina colada in your hand. I don't know, but we're here with the budget committee and talking about this TIF agreement for the Hampton Inn. So, just a few questions. Why don't you give us just a basic breakdown of what this TIF is and how it works and how they've applied it, and also I think that some of the chronological order of this deal. Maybe we have a few questions about that. Isn't it typically something that's done up front for like utilities and various things, those kind of costs that are gonna benefit the city anyway and the county? But why don't you go ahead and share with us your thoughts?
Sure, it's all right. I'll start from the beginning with this project. And if I start talking too quickly, y'all know me, just tell me to slow down. But, you know, a few years after the Best Western Plus opened, the Gobble High Duke, so GHD Properties, which is the developer in this situation, approached us saying they were interested in developing a Hampton Inn here in Lawrenceburg. At that time, the mayors met with them and agreed that we would look at doing another TIF for them. But in that first process, we obviously, guys, we did it backwards and did for the Best Western Plus. And so this time we had a more formal process in which we went through. And what that meant was the developer was the one to go out and procure the loan. And then basically all we did was, basically all we're doing is getting to take the property tax that hotel develops and reimburse them for that loan. Now, we, for the Best Western Plus, we did it backwards, and at the time, the mayors, the previous administrations on the city and county level said, hey, yeah, we'll do $1 million, and we would hope that the property tax covers that, and we were able to fix that, but we did not do that right the first time. This time, what we said was, hey, let's get it built, and then let's see how much it generates, and we, at the time, committed to do up to the same amount of the previous hotel, which was $1 million. I'm pleased to report to you guys that total investment all in is landing somewhere between $15.5 and $16.5 million, which means that it's going to generate enough property tax to service a loan actually greater than $1 million in value. With that said, the commitment from the mayors at the time was just $1 million, and so we're going to turn around and service that loan with that property tax. And David, you mentioned the utility part of that. We can only use the money on eligible expenses, which includes site improvement, utilities, roadway improvement, parking lot lighting, and the like. And so I'm told by the contractor that we are able to meet that number to $1 million, which is good. And so the process we're working now is to finalize the economic impact plan, which will be in your hands before it goes before the full commission and the city council. What has to happen to get it on the agenda, of course, is this meeting we're in now. And then it also has to go before the city of Lawrenceburg's Industrial Development Board for approval, at which time they will forward the economic impact plan to the city council and the full commission. So that's where we stand in the process of things. David, I know you also asked a question in a text message about the term of the TIF. The Best Western Plus, we mapped that term out at 20 years. This time, we don't have to do that. We ran it on both a 10 and 15-year term, and it's going to be up to the developer's banker as to whether or not they pick one of those two terms, or if it's even longer. But really, it's of no consequence to to anyone because the property tax will be paying that loan.
It's still just gonna be $1 million, yeah, no matter what, whether it's stretched out over 10 or 15 years, it's still just $1 million, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, anybody got any questions for Ryan?
So Ryan, so in this case, they're borrowing the money rather than us. Where in the past, we've borrowed the money, right?
Right.
All right. So let's say, for example, let's say the property tax generates, I'm just gonna throw out a big figure, I know it's not gonna be this much, let's say it generates 200,000 a year. And we pay that, the $1 million is gonna be reached in 5 years, no matter if they put their loan at 10 or 15 years. So are we still gonna be obligated beyond that?
No, so we're not committing to pay the maximum property tax generation. So basically, if I'm at this right, what I did with Brady, the development is going to generate a combined city and county property tax of about $110,000 to $120,000 annually. And again, the note, let's say the county portion of that is about $75,000 to $80,000. The note on the county front may only be $50,000. So there's going to be even an increment left over that will go to the county and then likewise the city. That makes sense, Don?
Okay, so we'll only pay our portion for the life of the loan, not necessarily the full amount, right?
Right. Now, and I don't anticipate that we would make additional principal payments, unless that was just in form of interest to get it off the books. But I'm not sure that it makes sense to do that.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions, anybody?
When will we know if it's 10 or 15 years? So after it passes the commission and the council, that's when it'll trigger the bank again, or their bank, and they'll decide that. We can follow up before we do everything with you guys. The cities, I know I talked to the mayor. He would prefer it to be on 10 just to get it off the books faster, if that makes sense, because it'd be cool to do that if we're able to. Again, it's really immaterial. It's a nominal difference in annual payments.
Yeah, we would prefer 10 too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're just paying more interest, so.
Hey, Ryan, and I also mentioned to them, the economic impact, for us, the hotel motel tax dollars it's gonna generate from day one, et cetera, et cetera. I remember looking at that plan that they had early on when we were wanting to build it and how beneficial it was for the county, overall.
Oh, exactly. I'll mention quickly, and these are rough numbers because I don't have my email or anything in front of me. But if memory serves me right, we're talking about an additional $80,000 to $90,000 in additional lodging tax revenue just on the county front. So obviously, we would like it from your chamber and tourism agency side. We'd like to benefit in some capacity from that. But I don't mind telling you guys that this year we're not going to ask for any more. But just know that is going to be immediate economic impact.
We recorded you on that.
Yeah, recorded, yes.
Just know I said this year.
We know everybody asks, so for sure. All right, Ryan, thank you. Any other questions for Ryan tonight, guys? Okay, all right, appreciate you. Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate it all.
Have a good one. See you.
What you're saying, so if we did this again in the future, if we're gonna say we're not to exceed $1 million, can we not start saying not to exceed 10 years also? With that stipulation also, if we were gonna do it, like, that's kind of what you were saying, it's costing us more than
It's based on the valuation of the property. It's based on how much it appraises for.
And how much they're asking for, really.
But I mean, I guess could we start putting that so suggested?
You can, I mean, yeah.
We wanted to do this, still leaving it open-ended.
Well, I will say on the last one, it was just kind of committed verbally and they didn't have a valuation on what the property would be worth, right? So, my predecessor and I guess Blake was in there, they were, oh yeah, $1 million sounds good, but they didn't know the appraisal value of the property. So they didn't know like how much property tax dollars would actually be coming in. So was kinda done backwards, that's why, that's why this one was waited until you got, Brady's actually been able to put a number to what the value of that property is and what the property is.
Kinda, if I was understanding what you were asking also, so if we're in it for $1 million, and say they do it 20 years or whatever, alright? If we take that $1 million that we're gonna commit, and we divide it by 20, we should know roughly what we're, cause they're wanting to stretch our part all the way out too, right? Well, what if the taxes were more than our committed amount, well, we might get some back?
That's what he was saying.
That's what he said, we won't pay it all in, like if it's $250,000 a year in property taxes, they're gonna break it down to pay off that $1 million in 10 years or 15, and then we'll keep the rest.
So it could be some coming to us too.
Yeah,
Right, he was
If
thinking,
it continues to appreciate. your
And
it will.
property taxes, you know,
and his numbers though were 110 to 120,000. Estimated
Combined,
here.
city and county.
Combined.
City and
And
county.
our part would be about 75 to 80.
Right. And
So
10
was that a
years would be
guess or was that-
700.
That was his
So
estimate.
he said 10 to 15 years would be set upon, so
Yeah.
15 years would be a.
It sounded like it was a guess, he said, so I didn't know if the city had more
So
than we did. or
here's
not.
potential, we could not be, or we could actually be generating a little.
A little bit off of
taxes.
it, yeah, the property tax.
And even if we don't generate anything, we still get hotel motel.
That he's not, that we're keeping this
That
year.
we're keeping.
That was the other one. There you go.
He'll ask for it next year.
But
The
I,
reason he said that, they probably won't be open until December.
well, another thing about That's true. Didn't think about that.
English shark guy.
Yeah, that's the reason they didn't want it
He
this
knows
year,
what's up.
he knows they're gonna open late fall.
But another thing, you know, I know the Best Western has been fully booked most of the time.
91% is what
Yeah.
they've experienced, and they say
So-
no hotel ever does that.
If the Hampton Inn does the same, and you gotta think about also additional sales tax revenue that's gonna generate people coming in, just economic impact, I guess you could say, from whether it be tourism or whatever. Of course, think about sales tax, if they spend it in the city of Lawrenceburg, they get most of it, we don't, so.
Yeah, stop and
What'd you say?
But
The only thing, I mean, hey, I'm cool with doing something like this, the only thing, so somebody committed to it a long time ago, who crap knows who it was.
Yeah,
You know, so now it's kinda like a drum, you're on the hook.
Yeah.
Because somebody told them something back in the day.
we need to have this on the front end in the future. Dave, do you know where they're having this public meeting on the 23rd? Where and what time? Do you know that?
That is at the city, that's at the, city administration building.
Okay. Do you know what time it is?
I think their meetings are
About city council, it's 9 o'clock.
9 AM,
No, this is well,
I bet that's when they're gonna do it.
this is the Industrial Development Board meeting.
It's typically a
Different
lunch
from the city
meeting, right?
council.
One of us retired.
City council meeting's at 12. It's just there. That's on the second board. So yeah, that's 23rd.
He'll send me that info, I'll just text it to him.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve it and send it on to the full commission.
I don't think we have any other.
I'll say.
All right, am I back chairing this thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. All right,
Congratulations.
any further discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. All right, moving on now to, the next agenda item, water line extension on North Brace Road.
This is the one that, we approved back in November for 5 households. We've had a 6th come forward that wants to be included. And I was explaining to Barry and Travis earlier, what happened was, this was an area back when we got the COVID money, we were looking at extending water lines. It was included in that, and these 6 households all came in to the water department and put out a deposit for their meter. And then, of course, that money never materialized, so the water system had to refund the money. So when this new project got started, most of them were pretty, they didn't believe it was gonna happen again, put it that way. So that was the reason, I know originally I came in with 3 houses, and then I extended it to 5, and now 6. And that's what this is to add that 6th one. but there's no other houses there, so there's not gonna be any more extensions. So, the overall project is cost, the materials is costing about 23,000, I think it's like 22,800, plus, installation. And one of the homeowners is actually paying for the installation of it. So he's gonna end up with, it's probably gonna be $28,000 altogether for the install. And hopefully we're gonna get that done by May. But, so this is to increase it from 5 households or $15,000 to 6 households or $18,000.
All right, I entertain a motion for that.
One question real quick.
Yeah.
So is it just a general contractor installing it?
Well, the way the water system works, they allow the homeowner to install it with the water system employees inspecting it to be sure it's up to specs and all.
So it's not like we can pay this up front and then somebody dip out?
Oh, no.
Okay, it's,
This just goes towards paying for the materials.
Yes.
Is what the,
And it goes
That's
towards
the
paying for it, I just have a very.
It doesn't
like,
cover it.
Yeah.
Horrible sound with how much 2,500 feet costs.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
What size line is it?
I want to say it's 6 inch.
Well, that was my fear of paying for the materials and then they just lay there.
Right.
You know.
All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? So moved. All right, let's look at the child support, grant contract. Randy, I'll turn that one over to you.
This is just an amendment to a grant contract we currently have. They'll do this we get an original grant contract and then they amend it every year for 4 years. It just pays 66% of expenses for the child support, officer, sheriff's department, including salary and benefits. Basically, it's just offsetting costs you were gonna be paying anyway. But the total grant amount is $61,479. And then our match part is 31,000, but like I said, that's already in the budget, we were already gonna be paying it.
So what are we amending?
We're not, well, this amendment is what they're calling it, is adding the 26-27 fiscal year. And they need David to sign it, so Ryan thought it would be best to run it before you guys. We've never done it in the past because it is just supplementing, expenditures we already have in the budget. But Ryan thought it would be best to run it by you guys since it is considered a match.
I'll make a motion we approve it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, so moved. Move on to the next item here on the agenda, highway equipment interfund loan, CON Series 2026 debt obligation report.
This is just a report that we have to file with the comptroller's office once we've issued debt. You guys approved back in November to do an interfund loan to the highway department for the purchase of tractors. We have finally got approval from the comptroller's office and have issued that debt, transferred the money from one fund to the other. So now we have to just say that we've done it. And it'll have to be on the agenda for March.
All right, we have a motion.
We approve.
Any second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Heatherly. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? So moved. All right, EMS rate changes. These came before the Emergency Services Committee last week, and they have passed, the Emergency Services Committee passed on these EMS rate changes. I think we do here in our packet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anybody else like one?
All right, the Emergency Services Committee proposed a 225% increase on, that's 225% of Medicare, Medicaid, not 225% of what you can bill insurance. But anyway, recommended a 225% increase from the Emergency Services Committee, and it needs to go through us at the Budget Committee for approval before it goes for the full commission. So.
We approve.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Philip, Heatherly, second. Scott Franks made the motion. Any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moved. Now moving on to, new ambulance purchase consideration. So again, this was brought before the Emergency Services Committee, and it was, passed on to us as a recommendation, to be considered by budget. So Brandy, I'll let you opine on this.
Well,
And we'll-
Kane are probably gonna know a little bit more about this, cause I was not at that committee
Okay.
meeting.
All right, and there's like a deal that's a good deal that's waiting, but we gotta act quick, right, Kane?
Right.
He's such a good salesman sometimes. But anyway, let's go ahead, Kane. Yeah.
So what brought this about is Tennessee State Office of EMS has a EMS equipment grant every year. This year, everybody who applied for that, they split the money evenly amongst every service. We have $30,303 in EMS equipment grant funds that can be used toward purchasing an ambulance. Now, we can use it for other purposes as well, buying other large pieces of equipment. But one of our thoughts is if we could find funds somewhere, we could put that $30,000 toward purchasing an ambulance. So we had our Ambulance Service Association conference a few weeks ago, talked to a couple dealers to see what they have available now and what they have available coming in the next few months. The biggest thing is whatever we purchase has to be in hand and paid for by June 30th. So
Is that realistic for us if we pull the trigger and it passes the commission meeting?
So some of these ambulances are already available sitting at the dealer's house right now. All we have to do is sign a contract with them, pay them, and they will drop the ambulance off. One of them is coming available the beginning of June. I spoke with him today. He is checking with their manufacturing to see what the exact completion date is on that truck. But we have some information on 4 different units. One of them, or 2 of them are available right now. One is on hold until this coming Wednesday. There's a county that has that truck on hold. They'll open the bids Wednesday. So we will find out if they are going to purchase that truck or not.
Is that the middle one, where it says on soft hold?
Yes.
Yes. So the F3 from Siddons Martin, the F350 4-wheel drive truck, it is the one that will not be available until June.
Is that the one that we're gonna get, like, after the 30 grand, it's gonna be like 180,000 or something?
So one other thing that I talked about the other day was we were going to have to get quotes on what it would cost to strap units and change out radio equipment. So I was able to get the information on that over the last week. So the Siddons Martin F350 4-wheel drive truck, it would come out to $184,339. With it included stropping, so the only thing we would have to do for it is remove and reinstall radio and comms equipment and remove and install our power load for our stretchers. That's for the 4-wheel drive unit. The 2-wheel drive unit from Siddons Martin, it is currently available. It would be $181,902. The EEP or Emergency Equipment Professionals trucks, their 4-wheel drive truck is currently still available. That is the current unit that we have purchased the last couple times. So our current fleet right now, our newer units are EEP CCL 150s. That truck would be $219,247. And then if that 2-wheel drive truck from EEP ends up being available after Wednesday, that would be $180,247.
Now, aren't we in the agreement that we don't need 2-wheel drive trucks? Haven't we come to that conclusion the last few years?
So it is beneficial for us because if you think about if a 911 call comes out and we get somewhere and that patient is down a driveway that is not maintained, if they're out in the middle of a cow pasture, whatever that
Which is
is.
a great chance here in Lawrence County with all the rural roads we have and driveways and,
You know, it looks really bad if you get your ambulance up and you can't get your patient. We have a mixture of 2-wheel drive trucks and 4-wheel drive trucks. You know, when the snow and ice comes, we typically try to put our 4-wheel drive trucks at our outstations, try to have one available here in town to go out into the county areas and keep our 2-wheel drive trucks here in town.
Well, my recommendation is that we don't buy two-wheel drive trucks if we can help it. I mean, what'd you say the difference in the price was a two-wheel drive was 181 and the four-wheel drive was 185 or
A
something?
two-wheel drive from Siddons is 181. The four-wheel drive is 184 if they can deliver that truck to us by June
I
30th.
mean, for $3,000, you get four-wheel drive.
So are these furnished already or not?
So what will happen is we would take a truck out of service. One of our spare units would go out of service. That equipment would roll over.
And then
How
we sell
much-
that.
How
We
much
sell that
roughly is that old truck worth?
Yes, you can.
Um,
$3,000. That's how it usually goes.
how much did you say?
$3,000.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The truck we're looking at getting rid of, probably the chassis will be worth more without the box on it than if we sell it as an ambulance.
Gotcha.
Just being honest.
All right, which one do you think would best fit what you all need? The one that's like the ones we're already using?
So that truck is going to be set up the exact same way as our units. So if I have a crew that typically works in Laredo and they end up having to come to Lawrenceburg and get on an ambulance, their equipment is in the exact same spot.
There's a plus deeper in that too. So if you're same engine, same chassis.
Yep.
The guy that's doing your servicing will be happy. He keeps one filter. I think having a fleet of units that are very close to similar would be smart, even if they're 2- and 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
That would be good, and then they actually know your units.
What's our
So
what's our newest truck, just out of curiosity?
So our newest unit is a 2023 model. As of February 22nd, it had almost 63,000 miles on it.
Do you know what the oldest model of truck we have?
Our oldest model truck is a 2012 model. It was purchased used whenever we had a wreck truck. It only has 62,000 miles on it, but it is terrible at keeping on the road. It's hard to get parts.
Is that
It's
the one
very
that's
difficult
going
to
bye-bye?
drive.
That's the one we don't use very much at all.
Yes.
Is
They're
that the
just
one that we're getting rid
spares.
of?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the only one that'll be operational value here.
You'll be
That's
like
my
this.
luck. Where we got this one?
I have a question, I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it on the Savick contract?
It is.
Okay.
All these trucks are Savick capable to be on the
Okay.
Savick contract.
All right, so the one you would prefer is the same one like the new ones we've recently purchased,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, and how much is that one? What,
Total subtracting the 30,303 for equipment is 219,247.
You need to approve it not to exceed the 245.
we need to prove it not to exceed 245. Okay.
And then you
So,
put part of it back. on
let
the
me-
grant.
That truck does not come striped. So we would have to have the power load included, the radios reinstalled, and the striping and lettering. So the total before the state equipment money is $249,550.
Say 250.
So not to exceed 250.
Not to exceed.
All right, I've entertained a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion?
You are happy with that? Y'all are happy with that?
Yes, that would be
You
Let me
awesome.
let
and that
Brandy-
is the same as the other.
It would be.
I'm gonna let Brandy fill us in on kind of where this revenue is going to come from as far as the budget is concerned.
We have, once again, budgeted for less interest than we have collected. We've already collected enough interest to cover this through the end of January. I don't have February numbers in yet, but we've got 525,000 that we've received more than what we expected.
And what we
What
budget
we
for
budgeted.
interest income.
That's the extra money we give to fire and rescue. We will still have enough to do that at the end of the year as well. As long as everything, comes in the way it has been, we will still have enough money to buy this and do that.
Mr. Lupton?
My only question is, I mean, I understand the part about the mechanics and stuff, but so that one is 35,000 more valuable to you than the other one, the other 4-wheel drive?
So-
It's about the difference, 35,000 to go
So
just by.
the company that has the cheaper trucks, we've not ever purchased a truck from them. Their rep used to work for EEP. We purchased trucks for him for years. Looking at this truck at TASA, the only issue I have with it is the box is a little bit narrower and it's a little bit shorter. than the ones that we typically use. Shorter is not a lot of difference because it's only like 2 inches. That does put, if you put the stretcher in and the patient and my paramedic is sitting in the airway seat, their head is right
In your lap.
The biggest thing is the width of the box. Currently, our trucks, if in a bad day we have to transport 2 patients laying down in the back of one ambulance, we can do that. We put one on a stretcher, one on a bench seat. Those trucks that they have, the bench seat is very, very narrow. I think you could put a patient on it potentially, but I think it would be very hard to keep them on it going down the road. So it's just a little smaller box.
I'm not opposed.
Yes, I just want to try to explain
The box
why.
is the difference.
Because there is a
The box
difference.
is the difference.
There is a definitely a difference in the price, but that would be my biggest concerns with the cheaper.
Is the other company on the Savick group? Yes. That's a if y'all don't know what that is, that's a cooperative purchasing agreement, which means we don't have to bid this out. We don't have to go through the bid process. That's why I keep asking about it.
Yeah.
That was one of my first questions.
One other thing,
Good job.
y'all got this sheet here, probably, it's not in the packet, I think it was
It's
sent.
behind.
I'd asked Brandy today to pull some numbers. I just was curious as to EMS revenues versus expenses so far for this year.
Mhm.
Maybe she can explain what all she's got on here. So, that's what that is.
The first page is the revenues that we've received this year. And I did include February's because I do have those numbers, they're just not in my system.
So the 1,395 is,
Yes,
that's the revenues.
yes. And the number that Kane had give in the Emergency Services Committee, he got that number from the trustee's office, which included what was collected in July. That's not included in my number because we put that back in the previous year. So that's why there's a difference. And then the state shared sports gaming tax is supposed to be dedicated to EMS as well. And we've collected 51,000. And then down here at the bottom, I went back 4 years to show you what past collections at this time of the year was.
Okay. And what about
Expenditures on the next page. Total expenditures, I've got it wrote down.
the last page?
Yes.
Okay.
I've got total expenditures and then vehicle cost maintenance expenditures broken down in that little chart at the bottom for the last 4 years. And then you'll see that current year to date, and this is through February, so we're talking about the same time frame. Year to date, total expenditures is 2.7 million. You gotta remember that you also added that 5th truck, so you've got all those salaries and all those expenses, when you see that jump. And then
2.4, 2.7, you said 2.7?
2.7, 2.4 was what we were at this point last year.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying, okay.
And
Have we
then,
noticed a different, October 2020, when we changed the billing companies?
Well, that just was, what, February?
we changed billing companies in October. Our old billing company still collected payments until February the 2nd.
Last month.
So I can't really differentiate what is being collected by which vendor yet. But
Still
my
hoping to see
February
that
numbers,
20% gain, Travis, on that.
Well, I mean, but combined, it hasn't changed a whole lot, though, you know, for, October.
Well, again, the other company's been collecting since October. They had to have so many months in their contract, right?
So-
To notify them.
If I'm reading this right, for this year, through February, we brought in roughly 1.4 million, and it's cost us 2.7 million.
yes.
So is the new company is billing also starting in October, so they're both billing at the same time, or no? They just
The
literally
new
just started?
company started billing in October, right?
So they've both been billing?
But they both were collecting, no.
Oh, okay.
They both were
On previous
collecting
runs.
on what A and B had billed, which is the previous company, what they
Gotcha.
had already previously billed, they were still collecting payments on those bills.
Okay.
And then the new, so the payments what I'm saying is the payments that are coming in, I can't differentiate which company billed for it.
Mm.
But now, as of February the 2nd, A&B is no longer collecting payments, so everything that comes in after that point will be the new company. We should have a better update a little closer to the end of the year, now that we just have one revenue stream going in there.
I think I see where you're going, Scott, so our total expenses in 24-25 was $2.4 million, and our total revenue in 24-25 was about 1.5.
Right.
Yeah, with the gaming tax included.
Yeah.
Again, by law, we have to provide emergency
So
service, but
I'm just
property
curious.
tax dollars cover the
Yeah.
cost of having everybody there, but then we've gotta, when people use the service, and that's where we try to recoup some revenue. But yeah, that's a,
Certainly $1 million a year in the home.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not
property
criticizing
tax, yeah.
that, I mean, it is what it is, but I was just curious as to what. We're breaking even or not, I guess is my question.
And that is typical amongst services
Yeah.
across the state.
Again, if we went to some BLS trucks and we started doing some transports for dialysis and various other things,
We could probably close it.
there's a
down,
lot of revenue there. There's a county in East Tennessee that I've talked to, they're actually in the black in their ambulance services because they run all the BLS stuff in their county too. They run it all. So, anyway. And you can run all that with EMTs in the vans, and you can run it with vans. You don't have to run it with
Right.
these $250,000 four-wheel drive ambulances, right? So, yes, sir.
You have the capability of doing that now?
It's something we've discussed about layering in, yes. I mean, we have talked about that. There are some private companies that do that in Lawrenceburg at the moment. So there is the question of, does government get into the private sector market and put people out of business,
Do you grow government or
Well, there's a,
What?
yeah.
not? Do you grow government or not?
A question,
Personally.
would there be a fleet that you would be able to tap into, or would there be new vehicles that you would have to purchase for that? Like you said, you could just use vans.
Well, so I've heard that the one company here actually wants to sell their company. So that would come with fleets and property and various other things. So that is something.
And you said it was dialysis, is there other services that?
Oh, yeah, they take them to doctor's appointments,
Okay,
they take them to all kinds
In
of
Michigan,
things.
that's how it.
Yeah,
Discharges.
discharges, all kind of stuff, and those aren't emergency calls, so like, we don't lose money on that. We bill
So
insurance
who's,
directly.
is
to
it
them.
the who's paying the bill
The
on that?
patient's insurance,
Okay.
Medicare, Medicaid.
You see your tax.
Which 70-something% of our calls are Medicare, Medicaid reimbursable. That's where about 70-some-odd% of our calls are that. So we're getting the pennies on the dollar of what it really costs us to do that job.
So just curious though, where are you at in the stage of, because this is interesting and it works for other places and you're in talks and like you said, there's a capability of getting in the black, which that would make it a very big deal.
Yeah. So it's something we've really been discussing. Shane's the vice chair of the Emergency Service Committee. We've been discussing it the last couple of years. One thing when I came into office, we had a huge pay gap, and we couldn't be fully staffed with the current expectation we have for emergency ambulances. So we finally met that number, and we got the pay where it needs to be. Now we've added the 5th ambulance because we were actually underserving the county. You have to have an ambulance for every 10,000 people. We had 46,000 people with 4 ambulances. So now we're ahead of that game a little bit. We got 5 full-time ambulances. So we've been able to get that. So this will be the next layer of.
So if that was done, how would that impact what's already happened? Would it burden it or would it help?
It would help. No, it would totally help.
Well, you would have to hire people to cover those.
Sure, but they wouldn't have to have the same qualifications.
Yeah, they could be a lower level licensure.
Well, in transports, for instance, if we had those vans, then transports that needed to happen or discharges that needed to happen, we wouldn't be using our bigger, larger emergency vehicles that need to be ready for emergencies. We we'd be using these, smaller, more cost-efficient vehicles, so,
They're usually transit vans. You're
Right.
familiar with them?
yeah.
Yeah, like you said, up in Michigan, there was.
Like
a
you're
lot of
sitting
sit-
outside, like your van.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, hire me.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's certainly, yeah, and it was your question, so I'll defer back to you.
So if there's other organizations, and I get it, you don't want government, we want government out of things, right, to a certain extent. But if there's other companies that are doing that, is there any way that you can, because the insurance company is ultimately paying the burden, right? Is there any way that we can, or you guys can piggyback off of them
Subcontract.
to get additional revenue?
Potentially, yeah, and that would be a conversation worth having.
Where you don't become the sole owner, I guess,
Yeah.
of that service.
As I've been researching it, I mean, the county commission can, pretty much say, like, Lawrence County Emergency EMS is gonna take over, this X part of the market as well, I mean, in Lawrence County. So there's a lot of things that can be done there. I know they've done that in some other counties.
I mean, I'm just saying I'm just saying this again, I don't know, so my apologies. But if a ride share for that situation, so let's say it's 150, can the company who is charging the insurance bop that up to 185, or, so it's 150 period?
so it doesn't matter who the service provider is, the insurance company is gonna pay. So for instance, Medicare and
It's a
Medicaid
pre-negotiated rate.
does not pay us what it costs us to run. So the studies nationwide have said that, like, if Medicare reimburses us $400, it actually costs $700 to run that call.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter who is providing the service, insurance is still gonna reimburse the same rate.
I was just saying, put a $25, $30
And
tariff.
there are some there is some legislation out, and I don't mind to talk to you guys after the meeting. I would love for you guys to contact our representatives. There's some legislation in Tennessee right now that if it passes, it will significantly increase our TennCare reimbursements for both emergency and non-emergency transports. And if another bill passes, it will significantly increase our private insurance payments. That's what needs to happen for EMS to be sustainable.
I know my mother-in-law several years ago had surgery at St. Thomas. And when she was discharged, they brought her down here for rehab at a nursing home. The ambulance that brought her was a contractor out of Louisiana. They had two drivers. I talked to them. They were both from Louisiana, and they'd been up here for like 6 weeks. I'm thinking, okay, there's got to be a lot of fat for somebody to be able, some company to be able to send an ambulance up here, pay them per diem,
Stay in a hotel.
stay in a hotel, whatever they're doing, for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So that, that's just. what
It's the
I'm
difference
finding.
between being able to pick and choose what calls you run
Yeah.
and not being able to. Those companies that do that,
Yeah.
when that hospital calls and says, we have this discharge, the first question they ask is, what kind of insurance do they have? And they either say, yes, we'll accept the run, or no, we won't. And they only take the ones that are profitable.
So the poking around that I've been doing, what I think, and I think that y'all could probably agree with this, so I think what you really have is what we just hit on. Is your private companies are hitting on the ones that have a lot of fat on them.
They're getting gravy.
But then what happens is they don't pick up the ones that don't, and who gets caught?
We do.
Yeah.
We do, because that's what's really,
that happens in
that's
Lawrence
the
County
base
every
of
day.
what's happening. It's all time.
Well, because by
every-
law, we have to provide this.
That's it. So they can make the money off of it, but we have to take the ones that we get $100, it costs us $600 to run.
Yes.
But there are, so it's been kind of a layering in process, partly because cost. The next step for us too, we've talked about a 12-hour truck during the day from like 7A to 7P to help at the height of the calls. And that truck could run some convalescent calls, is what those are called. Could run some convalescent calls when it's maybe not needed at emergency time situations. So, but again, those convalescent calls are scheduled out and all that kind of stuff most of the time. So, but yeah, that's certainly something we're talking about doing and discussing. And I just heard this past week that potentially MoreCare is wanting to sell their business. So anyway, I'm going to certainly be having a conversation with them and see what that looks like. All right, where were we at? Purchase of new ambulance. Did we approve that?
You got a
Need a motion and a
second?
second.
All right, any further discussion? We've chased some rabbits on that one, didn't we? It's a good rabbits to chase though, especially if they produce. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Beta convention contribution.
There's nothing in your packet on this one. Aaron Sisk had contacted David and requested that we do a contribution, kinda like we do for Skills USA, for the Beta convention, Lawrence County High School's Beta students to attend the Beta convention in June. She said that they are anticipating 20, but she would have a better number for me this week.
What do we do for skills? We did
We did
100 per
100
student.
per student, and that's what we do on rings, that's just kind of the customary amount, is 100 per student.
How many is Long Road got going and how many is Summertime?
Well, they've not reached out.
I'd like to bring something
We're
up.
gonna do it, we gotta do it for all of them.
Yeah, we need to do it for all of
Agree
them.
with that too. Now, I got on the Skills USA thing pretty hard. I started calling to talk to Joe Chapman, and got, what do you mean we're asking for that? Because they fund theirs fully with building, shooting houses and everything else, through theirs. Of course, we don't have automotive sometimes. So I got into Lawrenceburg and talking. The skills, actually, the idea was gave to me by Stephen Nusey in a meeting here. He said, why in the world is a small business not taking care of that, or the businesses in Lawrenceburg? So I started trying to talk to them about having sponsors from business. I feel like that's where we need to go with this. We get to doing a lot of charitable donations out of property tax monies. How in the world am I forcing Barry to pay me to where I can give it to who I want to give it to? I think that that's a problem. So I think we need to open an avenue for this to be funded another way. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it almost seems like that slippery slope. Yeah, we did that and now.
Yep, here we are.
What next to be football team or, you know, I don't know how many different organizations are out there, but.
Well, there's a bunch of them. My daughter's in HOSA. We'd like to have $1,000.
I told FFA and we were doing something, but we had to fundraise the snot out of it to do it.
Yep.
You know, so they all start coming calling from every now and man. You get into some messy stuff there.
And I have nothing, I need to put that, I have nothing against the Beta Club at all, period. I have nothing against Skills, I have nothing against FFA. They're all great things that need to be there. I'm very impressed with the things that we did at the competitions this year. I think we've seen that in honorariums. But we also need to worry about how we're spending taxpayer money. So they're wanting $100 a student. How many students did you say?
She said that they're anticipating 20, but they didn't have a definite amount.
When is this?
It's in June.
See, not only do you have, and I'm all about these programs. Like I said, I taught for years and did this. These programs are great, but not only do you have Lawrence County High School and the two other high schools, but you got Beta and elementary schools, and we got like 10 of them. You know, man, you can start getting some money real quick.
Well, that's what I told them, look, I'll bring it before the committee and we'll discuss it, but
She had said that
made no promises on this deal.
the cost to each student would be $560 and it would be due by the end of April, which is why she was asking now.
But here's the deal: if we decide to not do it, we need to say, hey, no more. You know, we can't go back and give it Skills again next year.
No.
And then not Beta. You know, we did it that one time. We probably shouldn't have now in retrospect, but you can get in some serious money when you start factoring in every club. There's a million student clubs in every high school.
Or what you do, if you're gonna do it, you set a limit and put it in the budget in a line item and it first comes.
Once it's out, it's out. Yeah.
That's kind of how it's been with that discretionary number that I have. It's gone, it's gone.
We need a motion to not take action.
I will just move us on to the next one.
Okay.
All right, budget amendments.
Alright. Well, I have that Beta one in here, so we will take that one out. General fund, it's just a bunch of line item movements. We can go through them individually if you want to. The only thing you're getting fund balance for is $6,040 for data processing equipment for the county clerk's office. And that is reserved additional title fees that they charge every year. And that's just
Pulling it out of that.
It's pulling it out of that.
No matter what, it's his discretion.
Yeah, it's his anyway.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve these budget amendments.
Second.
Less the $2,000 paid up.
Yeah, that was in there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right, less than $2,000 rated
That's a budget for
contribution. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? So moved. All right, any other business? Hey, I do want to bring up something. A young lady reached out to me today from Leoma. They have 6 kids. They've got a well that's not good. They're half a mile from the end of Leoma Utility District's line. So I told them, we give $3,000 per person to get tied on. They have to cover the cost, all this. And I just got to thinking about it. Like we're going to have a sizable fund balance at the end of this year. I want us to consider and really think about doing some type of water line project potentially in the county. We need to come to some kind of reasonable consensus on what that would look like. But say if we set aside $500,000 or $1 million and we created a fund that people could apply for, that utility districts could apply for. There was a cost share to that, like our current cost share. We're giving $3,000 per person right now. But look at the situation, look at the quality of the water of that person's home. I think that COVID money that came down the pipe and the hope and the promise that we were going to expand some water lines around the county really fell. That was just, it wasn't what was going to happen with that money, right? So, but the hope was that it would, but the COVID money came down the pipe and then the rules came following it, right? But we're very healthy and we're looking at over $13 million this year.
It's 14, over 14.
Over 14, but we'll have the county fire allocation, various things like that. But looking at over 14 million. When I came in, excluding ARPA funds, we had about $7 million, a little bit over $7 million. And so,
Well, that 14 million is the ending fund balance for 24-25.
24-25, that's audited number. So 14 million audited 24-25. So what I'm saying is, and I don't know what that number is, and I'm going to talk to developmental district and see kind of what, maybe there's a precedent already set in the counties across the state. But if our fund balance is healthy, then I think we should look at taking a chunk of that, because water is just something people are entitled to. And this family, and Philip was down there, met them tonight, but like 6 kids, they've worked on this well over and over and over again. They've had, this other lady's had 2 or 3 wells drilled and they're all didn't produce, And we're talking about folks, that they're just making it, just making it in life. So how can we help them? Is there a portion of interest income we'd allocate every year, that's above what we've budgeted for interest income?
We have a Fund 119 that we use for water lines, we just have to move some revenue out of the general fund into that.
I mean, yeah, let's just say we budget a certain amount of interest income, we realize X above, and we're able to put money in that fund every year, you know what I mean? I don't know, I just think it's something we need to really think about. It's something I've been talking about and heard a lot of people asking about, and I thought, man, if there's something we could do that would really be worthwhile, the whole county to get people water that don't have water.
I think there's a number of things that we need to come up with a plan for. Roads is another one. We got to fund it and stop bond issuing that. I think there's a number of things. Y'all kind of know my feeling on water. It's like it tugs at your heartstrings when you're sitting down there at that meeting, and the ladies, the one that set up to come speak because she wanted her son and her grandkids to have water. But I mean, we have to address that too. I built a home, I didn't have water there. I bought a car and the engine blew up. You fixing it?
Well, back when I first got on the commission, probably 2011 or so, we had a big meeting about water lines. And I've shared the story a lot of times, but there was a lady came in, I won't say what part of the county she was from, but she was an older lady, and she said that, her well went dry every summer, 3 months out of the year or so. And she said, now my daughter's building a house right next door and she's gonna have the same problem.
Mm-hmm. I know where that is.
Why is she building a house right next door to you if you don't have water? So, sometimes, like you say, it's almost like self-prophecy. If mama don't have water, you're not gonna have water.
And I do feel bad for them, but they said when my well messes up, I sure don't come here and ask y'all to fix the pump. That's, my driveway messes up, you don't have to come put gravel on it. I can't see a huge expenditure in that.
Also too, you get into who's gonna decide who gets it.
Yeah.
And then you could form a appointed committee, somebody could appoint friends or whatever they want, and then certain people can get it, some people won't. So you run into that too.
And my district will stay dry.
Well, water's just it's the most
It is.
necessary thing in life, right? We can't go more than 3 days without it, or we're dead, but,
We got so many parts of this county that you have long spaces between residences.
mhm.
And that's, we were talking about that earlier, the one you got. I mean, and that dang PVC pipe is going up every day.
It's crazy expensive.
And,
What do you say, $16,000?
For 2,500 feet.
yeah.
And then the
you gotta
welding,
weld it together. and then you
welding
gotta-
costs on top of another 4 or 5 grand, yeah. And I don't even know if that's burying it, that ain't digging it and burying
No,
it,
that's
right?
buying
That's
it,
just
welding
buying it,
it.
welding it.
The project that we're doing up there is only it's like 2,300 feet. And the materials were almost $23,000.
Well, I appreciate y'all's time tonight. Anybody got any other business? If not, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All right. Hey, we got a second? All in favor? All right. Any opposed? All right.